From the sands of Tatooine to the depths of the Outer Rim, the first episode of The Mandalorian Season 3 is packed with Easter eggs and references that will excite Star Wars fans. Starting off from the very beginning with the intro itself, instead of the usual rotation of Star Wars characters, this intro kicks off with the menacing helmet of Darth Vader. And if that wasn't enough to send shivers down your spine, the camera then takes us on a whirlwind tour of some of the most memorable characters from the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. First up is the deadly Fennec Shand, who has a bone to pick with our titular hero Din Djarin. Next, we see the Imperial TIE Fighter pilot, a nod to the Empire's lingering presence even after the fall of the Emperor. And then, a familiar astromech droid rolls into view, none other than R2-D2, a beloved character from the original Star Wars trilogy. But the surprises don't stop there. Bo-Katan Kryze, leader of the Mandalorian Resistance, also makes an appearance alongside IG-11, the reprogrammed bounty hunter turned nurse droid. We even get a glimpse of a scout trooper, a reminder of the intense speeder bike chase from Season 1. Of course, it wouldn't be The Mandalorian without a nod to the iconic armor worn by Djarin himself. But the Easter eggs don't just end here, as we're immediately greeted with yet another in the form of a skull from the Mandalorian mythosaur. The episode starts off with an introduction to the Mandalorian armorer, played by the talented Emily Swallow. As she works on crafting a new helmet for a young Mandalorian, we get a glimpse into the process of forging and shaping Beskar, the rare metal that forms the basis of Mandalorian armor. But as the camera pans around the armorer's cave, our attention is drawn to a familiar symbol hanging on the wall. It's the skull of the mythosaur, a race of massive creatures that once roamed the planet Mandalore. Legend has it that the first Mandalorian, known as Mandalore I, hunted and drove the mythosaurs to extinction, and then later using their skills as a symbol of his power and leadership over the Mandalorian people. The significance of the mythosaur skull isn't lost on us fans, who recognize it as a powerful symbol of the Mandalorian culture. From the ruler of the Mandalorians to the planet itself, the mythosaur skull is a reminder of the Mandalorian people's strength and resilience. Speaking of lore, the episode also canonized the Empire's atrocities on the planet. After a tense battle with a giant sea creature and his new N1 starfighter, Din emerges victorious and heads back to the armorer's cave to discuss the possibility of redemption. The two reflect on the Empire's destruction of Mandalore, a concept that will be familiar to fans of the old expanded universe. In the Legends continuity, the Empire had a habit of glassing planets. Basically, they'd use orbital bombardment to render them uninhabitable by crystallizing the surface with the heat and pressure of turbo laser fire. As Din shows the armorer a crystallized shard, the two discuss the possibility of Mandalore being recoverable. It's a powerful moment as the shard has fused with Mandalorian inscriptions, suggesting that the Empire's attempt at genocide was not entirely successful. It's a glimmer of hope for the Mandalorians, and not only is it a nod to longtime Star Wars fans, but also a way to introduce new viewers to the rich history and mythology of the galaxy far, far away. But it's not just nods to the past, as we also get to see the improvements made at Navarro. When we first visited the planet in Season 1, it was a bleak and depressing place, ruled by bounty hunters and the Empire. But things have changed since then, and now the planet is almost unrecognizable. Under Grief Karga's leadership, the former bounty hunter turned high magistrate has overseen a significant transformation of the planet. As the episode revisits familiar locations, viewers can't help but be impressed by the changes. The planet is now bustling with activity, with new buildings, vehicles, and people everywhere you look. It's a testament to the hard work of Karga and his team, and a sign of hope for the people of Navarro. Let's just hope it stays that way. But that isn't the only familiar sight we get to see on the planet. Remember IG-11, the lovable droid who sacrificed himself to save Din Djarin and Grogu in Season 1? Well, it turns out he's not really gone, at least not entirely. In Season 2, we saw a statue built in his honor, commemorating his heroism and bravery. It was a touching moment and a reminder of the sacrifices that so many characters have made throughout the show. It's enough to make even the most stone-hearted fans cry. I know, I shed a tear. But here, we learn that the statue was more than just a tribute, it's actually housing the droid's parts. Din discovers this when he takes a closer look at the statue, noticing that its construction is unusual. As he investigates further, he realizes that IG-11's remains are contained within the statue, waiting to be reactivated. Man, those Kowakian monkey lizards better stop cutting onions in here. Moving on though, it seems that Grogu's force powers have seen some improvement under Luke Skywalker's training regime. Our favorite green little Jedi in training shows off his burgeoning force powers with some impressive feats. After heading into Greef's office, he uses the force to spin around in his chair, delighting everyone in the room. And that's not all, he also manages to snag some food from Karga's desk with a flick of his wrist. It's clear that Grogu's training with Luke Skywalker has paid off, and he's growing stronger in the ways of the Force every day. And while we know that using the Force can tire him out, these subtle yet impressive displays suggest that he's becoming more attuned to his abilities. However, the episode doesn't just focus on the misadventures of our protagonist, as Moff Gideon disgraces our screens with his presence yet again. After Karga explains how Gina Carano had been sent off to become part of the New Republic Special Forces, explaining Cara Dune's removal from the series. We also learn that Gideon is facing a New Republic War Tribunal for his heinous crimes. This is exciting news for us fans, as it means that we could see more of the villainous character in the upcoming episodes. It's not often we get to see legal proceedings in the Star Wars universe, so this is definitely a unique twist for the show. Will justice finally be served for Gideon's actions? Only time will tell. In the meantime, we can look forward to seeing how this legal battle will impact the dynamic between him and Din. But as the episode closes off, we're given probably the biggest Easter egg of the bunch. Bo-Katan reveals that the fabled mines of Mandalore are hidden beneath the Civic Center in the city of Sundari. For fans of the Clone Wars, you might recognize this city as the former capital of Mandalore. But it's not just any city, as it's steeped in Mandalorian lore and was destroyed in the Great Purge. The destruction of Mandalore and the city of Sundari was a devastating blow to the Mandalorian culture, and it's a story that's been hinted at throughout the Mandalorian series. But the fact that the mines of Mandalore are located beneath Sundari is significant for a few reasons. For one, it suggests that there may be a way to bring Mandalore back from the brink of destruction, and for another, it means that we may finally get to see this iconic location in all its glory. I can only imagine what kinds of wonders and horrors the mines of Mandalore may hold. But hey, that's all for the Easter eggs and references hidden within this first episode.